Legally Corrupt, a show here on the Ringer Reality feed. It's our news show, and joining us today is Jodi Walker, in for Chelsea Stark-Jones. Jodi, always a pleasure to have you.
Rach, I never get to see you at the beginning of the week.
I know, and don't get
We're
used to
always
this.
opening up the weekend together, and now we're coming fresh off of it.
We are, and I don't want you to get used to how you see me. Yes, I'm in studio. Yes, I have makeup on, but that's because I have something to do after this. I am just as disheveled on a Monday morning as I am on a Friday morning, just to be clear.
Rachel, I'm thrilled to see your glowing face, and it is literally always glowing every time. Don't apologize. Don't make excuses. I'm thrilled.
Well, thank you so much. It's so good to see your face too. And to get into some of this, a lot going on in Bravo world, all across the Bravo universe. We're going to tap into it. We've got everything from congratulations to news that's confusing to legal news to new shows. I mean, the list goes on and on and on to, new shows, new women,
duped, Rachel. I got duped
addictions.
this week, and I won't tell you until we get there, but I got internet conned by one of our stories this week.
That's on the list?
That's on the list, yeah.
Oh, I cannot wait to hear this. Okay, well, then without further ado, let's jump right in, because I got to get...
This would never happen to Chelsea. You have me on the news show, I'm going to get duped.
I love that you were... Well, the thing is, we're so thirsty for more, and we're so curious about what's happening next. It's very easily to believe some of the stuff that's on the internet when it comes to our beautiful Bravo world. Let's talk about Alexia and Todd. It's been a while since we've tapped into what's going down in Miami. I don't know if they're done filming or not, but I feel like, oh no, we talked about it. Marisol said that the show is coming out in June, which means they're done. So we know that Miami never disappoints. I mean, a show to start on a streaming network, to come back to us after years of being on hiatus. Actually, we didn't even know they were on hiatus. We thought they were done like Dallas. They come back to us. They come on streaming, and it's so good. They snatch it from Peacock and bring it to network, because nobody should miss what's happening down in Miami. And ever since it has come back to us, and we've met some of the new housewives, we have some of the OGs still with us, it has always been great. And one of the OGs, Alexia, who we have really witnessed go from, being in a marriage to divorce to losing her ex-husband to her son being in a traumatic car crash and watching him, heal and that family really come together to rally around him, to a new love and a new marriage, and then a divorce announcement after that season is over with. We are starting to get updates. We know we're going to see that all unfold on this next season, which I hate to relish in someone's divorce as a person who is divorced, but I am very curious at how we see this very loving couple, which Todd, let's not be honest, Todd was a little difficult. Todd and Alexia, they weren't great.
But in terms of housewife husbands,
yes,
could have been worse.
They seem to support one another. Todd and her son seem to have issues, but not necessarily Alexia and Todd. To them putting on a united front, even all the way up until the reunion, to then announcing that they're getting a divorce. And so now we're getting more information, which is that they finalized their divorce after Todd filed, because I think that factors in the opinion. Todd filed for divorce. A year later, they're about to finalize, which is a normal amount of time. Now, what I applaud them for is keeping things confidential. We don't seem to know the details of it. It seems like did I see they had a prenup? It seems that way.
They did have a prenup.
They had a prenup. Seems like they're doing
Great news.
all things right, even though Florida's not a community property state. It's one of the reasons I got married there, only to move. But it seems like this is a very amicable divorce, Jodi, so much to the point where they seem to be still dealing with each other in a romantic way.
According to sources that have spoken to Us Weekly, they're dealing with each other in such a way that they are each other's boyfriend and girlfriend. They are going steady. The way that this is unfolded has been just one of the more unusual divorces I've seen, yeah. I guess. The divorce was finalized on the 25th, I think. And I saw a link on Twitter to the Us Weekly article. And at the time, the headline was Real Housewives of Miami, Alexia and Todd finalized their divorce. By the time I clicked on it, like 8 hours later, the entire article had to be updated with they didn't even do a new article, just a new headline that said that they finalized their divorce, but they're still together.
Well, it's, every relationship is different. It seems like they love each other, which Alexia said, because I guess she'd been questioned whether they had been intimate since the divorce. And she was like, yeah, of course, we love each other.
She was like, oh, yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, no, we've been having sex.
Yeah, most people divorce because of irreconcilable differences, maybe, God forbid, there's some sort of violence or, there's infidelity or whatever the reason may be. They're not getting along to where they no longer want a union. They want to be separated. So it seems like Alexia and Todd want to be separated from the title of marriage, but still want a union physically and romantically.
They seem to get along great. They can't stop getting along. I guess they just don't want to be married, or obviously maybe a year ago when he filed, and at the time she seemed to think it was kind of out of the blue, or it felt like a shock to her. Maybe they weren't getting along then, and then they learned to get along, but they just went ahead with the divorce. I don't know, but I am kind of disappointed because I think that all the filming on the newer season of Miami has already wrapped. So like whatever specifically is happening right now is not being filmed.
Yeah, I feel like we will probably see Todd. It seems that they have been cool even during filming. Yes, she was taken by surprise with the divorce filing. It seems like it was reactionary, but again, would you want to be with a man if that is the case, that has a strong enough reaction where he doesn't just say, I want a divorce. He actually takes the steps to file for it. That is not the type of man that I want to be with. I mean, it sounds like they're better off not married, and it seems like they did things right before to where there's no, stress about money and assets and all of that. And to each their own, but it also sounds like a lot of drama, which if you watch the show, both Alexia and Todd are dramatic.
Right. Some relationships really thrive in that.
Maybe they get off on it. Yeah.
Some people need the drama. I mean, I don't know about you, but like I do feel like I can remember at least 2 couples in my hometown who were like parents of friends or went to another school who were always getting divorced and getting back together, like got married 2 or 3 different times.
Where are you from,
Never.
Jodi?
You know I'm from Texas.
I know. Yeah, I was like, it's a smaller town.
It's not that. It's a mid-sized town with
is that
small
what we're
town
calling
behavior.
it? We're calling it mid-sized just because there's a college there.
I'm from Waco, Texas. It's not a small town. I'm just there's some. I feel like everyone knows a couple that's gotten married 2 times in a row, and these 2 will get married again.
I actually don't know a couple that's been married twice. I've heard these stories. I think it's easy just to, shit on Waco a little bit. I think it's easy to call Waco now a bigger town because you've got your Joanna and what's her husband's name?
Chip.
I was going to say Craig. Chip. And Baylor's become an even bigger college, I feel like. And yeah, but
I'm not calling it a big city. It's not exactly small town living,
It's not small town living. It's not. I'm just giving you. I actually used to enjoy myself in Waco when I was in college.
Well, no, that is surprising information to receive. Enjoying yourself in Waco is a little different. It's always had a big reputation. We can say that about Waco. Now it is lightly more positive.
Oh yeah, that's right.
From the gains.
How could I forget the Davidians? How could I forget?
They weren't just moving into any old small town.
That's right. How could I forget what put Waco on the map? Not Baylor.
No, not Baylor, and not our many married and divorced over and over again couples that only I seem to be familiar with.
No, I've definitely heard of it. It's not foreign, but I think it's foreign to me is I don't know anybody personally, but I have heard about it, and I've always wondered, how did that happen? Which now I have been divorced, there's no way, because mine just was so bad and turned out like, just different people at the end of it or person. But I just couldn't imagine going through all of the divorce proceedings and everything only to find my way back to them, I think that I would be heavily influenced by love wouldn't be enough. I'd be heavily influenced by
Mm.
family and friends. Cause like when you're going through it, you talk to your friends, you talk to your family, and then to come back with your tail between your legs to be like, well, actually, we're gonna give it another try. I couldn't imagine.
What if you were someone who was incapable of putting their tail between their legs or even knowing that they should? Like, I do feel like that is generally the case with housewives.
Clearly.
Just not, there's no shame. That's why they excel here. So they just kind of live life how they want to.
It makes a lot of sense. And that is a logical way of thinking of it. And one of the things, in addition, so maybe we will get a lot of Todd in this next season, but at Bravo Fan Fest, which was back in November in Miami, Alexia was caught wearing her ring. She still was wearing her ring while in the middle of the divorce. I wouldn't have been caught dead.
And she took his mom as her guest to that event.
Well,
There's still a lot of love in this relationship, I guess. And whatever key insider gave these insights to Us Weekly, at the end, the final sentence of the article says, the insider adds that their unique situation is expected to play out on the upcoming season of The Real Housewives of Miami. I believe that insider might be a Bravo producer.
yeah, no. For sure. For sure. I will say I applaud, I like that they still love each other and they aren't letting money or assets or even other people's opinions getting in the way of the way they feel about each other. I just hope that it's not toxic,
Yeah.
and it's something that is just, it's real between them, but maybe the title of it all didn't work. Maybe the arrangement didn't. And again, we're stepping into a newer age where people are really defining marriage the way that they want to and not necessarily in the traditional way. So to that, I say good for them. Good for them.
Can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, but if there is some drama, please save it for the camera.
Please give it to us.
Please. In happy news, Erin had her baby, which I feel like she just announced having a baby, but time flies very fast in Bravo world. She has a newborn son named Jack Hunter Leachy. Is that how you say her last name?
Mm-hmm.
Leachy. Posted the picture on social media with her beautiful family. We know she already has 2 sons and a daughter. And, congratulations to Erin and Abe. I had to think about it. What was her husband's name? Abe.
Abe the babe. You're right. It does feel like this was just announced because we saw it she was, lightly visibly pregnant and talked about being pregnant on the reunion. So it feels like she was just barely pregnant a few months ago and now she's having the baby. But mostly it's just crazy that she has formed a whole human life and had a whole baby. And we still don't know if New York's coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It hasn't been canceled. It hasn't been renewed.
Interesting. It hasn't been, I guess I didn't.
It's definitely not filming yet. So she will have had an entire baby.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think she'd be coming back one way or another.
Well,
even with a 3-week-old.
What they do seem to be doing, and not that I agree with this, if the rumors are true with Jersey, is when the franchises don't work, they spin off and give one family their own show. I do not want to watch a show of the Leachies.
No.
I don't. But they need to figure out what is going on over there with New York, because I assumed it had been renewed, and I just also thought they had just not started filming.
I think that everyone, I don't believe there's been an official announcement, and I think everyone is assuming it will be renewed because it hasn't been canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because Andy seems to have like a special place in his heart for it, which I honestly do too. But don't know yet. And I know that Erin is so thrilled to have this baby. I know that she is also concerned about her ability to film.
Mm.
I know she's ready to get back out there. She loves it.
She absolutely is. But what I think should happen with all of these franchises is that we pick up the cameras too quickly. So not enough time has passed. And also that's probably why we get some of the same storylines carrying over, because not enough time has passed for them to be over it. So maybe this break is necessary so time can pass. Other people can, do things that garner a lot of attention or have new ventures, like new podcasts.
They should treat them all like
babies.
Miami. Like, they should keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
You've got to be ready to film at any time. The season might not come out for a year after it's filmed. Like, I feel like that's a problem in Beverly Hills, that it's on such a schedule that they're always ready to film. They save certain parts of their life for it. There's too much, predictability to what's happening. Keep them on their toes.
Or maybe one of the things added to that list, we'll send you to Peacock. You're still in the family, but you're going to Peacock.
We got you in the NBCU, but you're going to Peacock.
Side note, have you seen the rumors of who's on the next Traitor? It's a lot of do you watch Traitors?
I watch Traitors.
A lot of housewives rumored to be on.
Which is interesting because that people always have such trouble with the housewives being on with the gamers. But I also think that people will say anything about the next cast of Traitors. They'll just be like, oh, yeah, anybody's. I heard that Dorinda's going to be back. Like, I heard anything.
I heard Dorinda too. But what I do know is that they were looking to fill 2 more spots. So I think the rumors that you're hearing are probably true because they were looking, as of like last week, 2 weeks ago, to fill 2 more spots. So we're hearing who, like Mary Cosby, Nene Leakes, Eva Marcel, Dorinda, and there's somebody else. Is it Margaret? Has Margaret been on it? Then maybe it was Margaret.
She has not been on it.
Then maybe it was Margaret. Which
the idea,
I say to that is an excellent ultimate girls trip.
Right.
That doesn't thrill me for Traitors. And am I bitter because they didn't ask me? Maybe. Maybe.
Their spot's still open, apparently.
Maybe. Well, I hear for Bachelor World, it's Nick Viall and Hannah Brown. To that I say, you should have put me and Nick together because we could have teamed up. If the rumors are true that it's Nick, we could have teamed up and been a hell of a force.
Talk about a juicy history. That's what they're always trying to do is bring in these pairs who've gotten along, not gotten along.
Yeah.
Maybe next season.
Missed opportunity.
Maybe if Mary Cosby doesn't bring the whole thing crashing to the ground. I cannot imagine. Like, they used to not even be able to get Mary Cosby to go on a group trip. Now she's ziplining. She's going to be doing the challenge. She's going to be doing bird song calls on the Traitors.
I would
Give me what she's on. Give me what she's on.
Okay. How many episodes before Mary Cosby departs? I say that she makes it to 2 episodes.
I think she will be self-eliminating. And they will bring her back in a Kate Chastain capacity.
That is the answer. And the only answer. I agree with that. Somebody who has not been rumored to be on the next season of Traitors is Craig. Because Craig is making news in other areas because he was on the bromance episode of Watch What Happens Live right after the season, not the season finale, the first reunion episode. It was a reunion episode, right? Of Southern Charm? Yeah. So Shep, Austin, and Craig and Andy all broed out.
Rachel, did you see everyone comparing them to the trio of blondes from The White Lotus? Perfect.
Yes. You could not have a more accurate. That narrative of those women is going to live on forever in TV history because I don't think you've quite seen it like that. We've seen it on reality TV, not really in a scripted version.
Oh, yeah. I just referenced it yesterday with a girlfriend because we were talking about like sort of when you talk about your other friends and she was like referring to it as talking shit. I was like, when you say that, you're not talking shit. You're not like saying something bad. I was like, it's like the women on The White Lotus. It's what you're worried about your friends. What are you worried about right now?
Yeah.
About our shared friends.
Yeah. And it's also like your biggest fears realized because when you have a group of friends, you know that you might have a separate chat with one friend out of it or a separate conversation. And then you wonder, do they have that same thing about me? Of course they do.
And they do. And that's where they talk about why they're worried about you. And that's what those boys are always doing. They're like, no, I'm happy for Craig and the way he's not drinking brown liquor anymore and how he's dating someone, but I'm also worried about it.
Yeah. So that's the justification for it all. Craig has announced, or he did announce that he is seeing one specific person. So he's exclusively dating someone, and he did not name her. And you know, that's all the ammunition. That's the only clue that you need for everybody to get on their computers, their phones, like texting, calling, social media deep diving to find out who is this one specific person that Craig Conover is dating. And I feel like as quickly as the words came out of his mouth, it was on Dumois.
Oh,
As
yeah.
quickly as he said it, it started being reported that he was dating model and influencer Natalie. It's spelled Buffett, but I'm going to say Buffet.
Well, it would be helpful if the original report said that, because this is where I got duped, Rachel. I saw a TikTok that said that Natalie Buffett was the heir to Jimmy Buffett's
No,
family.
no.
That this was the daughter or granddaughter of Jimmy Buffett. And the reason I want to say, I wasn't just like I solely fell for the TikTok. I knew that Craig had said on Watch What Happens Live, I've been reminded that the universe works in crazy ways and everything happens for a reason. And that sent a lot of Bravo investigators out, just that one line. It made people be like, is he dating someone from the show? Is he back with an ex? Like, how mysteriously does the universe work? And then when I heard her last name was Buffett, I was like, oh, yeah, well, Craig could want nothing more than to date the heir to Margaritaville. Like, that would be such a perfect thing to finally make him actually Southern. It turns out, no, that's just her last name, and lucky her.
Well, let's call her Buffet, like Phoebe Buffet. Natalie Buffet, model and influencer. Interesting for Craig. And I'll circle back to that in a second. And we know that Natalie is no stranger to high-profile relationships, as she has dated Dak Prescott, quarterback for Dallas Cowboys, and has dated Jack Flaherty, who is a former pitcher for the LA Dodgers, to which I say, you go, girl. You go. Now she's dating Craig. Now, Natalie, I will warn you, dating in the reality TV world and somebody who is very popular and beloved as Craig is a whole different level of scrutiny than it is to be a wag. Totally different. When you're a wag,
That's horrifying.
You're a little bit more hidden. You're a little bit
Yeah.
more hidden. You're one of many. It's just interesting timing too, off the heels of, people still are, debating and speculating about your past relationship. Now, granted, they didn't ask for this. They didn't ask to be outed in this way, even though Craig did confirm he is dating somebody. They have not posted each other. They have not made public appearances. This is all what's being speculated, and I'm sure more likely than not true. So it seems like they are trying to hide it, probably because of all the attention that Craig is getting right now and how tied to Paige he still is. But to me, Jodi, it's interesting. Not that he's dating somebody. And I do think that they've known each other in the past. So I think she's an old friend, flame, whatever. Not flame, but maybe somebody of interest. She's obviously gorgeous. I find it interesting that he's dating another influencer because that is Paige. And they're not the same person, but I'd be curious, and I'm sure he's had these conversations with her. What is her goal? Because what if she decides she wants to start a podcast?
Right, because I was going to say, I think that the issue in them being able to get in line sort of professionally was never with Paige being an influencer. It was when Paige became a podcaster. A slightly more creative endeavor, an endeavor that can pull you in a few different directions. It gives you a different kind of public notoriety and fame. People listen to what you say in a different way. And it always kind of seemed like that was the issue. And I don't know if this gal's going to start a podcast.
I don't know. You never know how people react to fame. I'm pretty positive, looking at the picture that I saw of her and Dak. Actually, I know for a fact, if she dated him from 2020 to 2022, I interviewed Dak at the NFL Honors. He had a girl on his arm. It was her. I don't remember.
Let me see if this changes your outlook. Everyone is calling her a model influencer. At least at the time of this announcement that this sort of discovery that this is who Craig was dating, she had 91,000 followers on Instagram. So that's not like a big influence. You know,
Well,
she's got a lot of room to grow, and kind of like joining the Bravo world would be a great way to grow that audience. But that's a position that Craig would love to be in. We literally heard him say, I didn't expect to be like I didn't expect to be submissive in a relationship. He would love to be the more famous, bigger person in this dynamic,
correct.
I think.
But I agree with you on all of that. My thing is, she's behind the scenes because, like I said, I interviewed her and she was right there with him on his arm. Didn't know who she was, didn't know her name, nothing. Just a beautiful girl on his arm, clearly his girlfriend. She's dating another player, who, baseball's 160 games. He's gone most of the time. You're in the background. You're not front and center, but she obviously is a model and Instagram influencer. She's a micro influencer with 90,000 followers. She's front and center, or she maybe has a desire to be, or to grow that platform, especially if that is her career. Being in this world, and now people know your name, only can help your career if you are an influencer. This is good for you. This is a level of fame she has never had. Nobody knew her name before. My fear is, I don't know if fear is the right word, concern, my worry, let's stick to that.
Yeah, I'm worried. We're worried.
My worry
just a little worried
is that you never know how somebody reacts to the fame. And now you're dating somebody who, not a reality TV star, but is an influencer, like your ex. And as their star began to rise, they were afforded other opportunities and it created more things for themselves, which added a conflict into your relationship. I would just say, be cautious. I'm not saying that for Craig, are you falling into the same pattern because you already know you can't handle it? It's not bad at all if Natalie wants to do these things. Good for her. But is Craig going to be able to handle it if her star begins to rise? I don't think so.
I want Craig to be able to have that kind of foresight and look out for if he is going to be able to handle that. But I don't think he'll know until he gets there. My suspicion is that she is not going to eclipse him in fame or notoriety anytime soon. I think she will come on to Southern Charm. She literally looks like you have put all of the blonde women on that show's faces over top of each other. And she will fit right in, and she will get 300,000 influencer followers, and she graduated from SMU. What more can I tell you? I think this is going to go great.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Where's she from?
This podcast brought to you by Texas this week. I assume she's from Texas.
It's not even a matter of will she eclipse Craig in popularity and fame. It's, does she want to? And does she think she has? Because fame it can be relative at certain times. I see it all the time in Bachelor world. People think because they have a certain number of followers and because it can seem like Bachelor Nation is lifting you up, you can quickly be humbled when you step outside of it and people are like, I'm sorry, who? It seems so big to you and it can go to your head until, you realize that's just one world. That's one subculture.
Well, as the heir to Jimmy Buffett's fame and fortune, I'm sure she is quite accustomed to such a world.
And that's proven that's
disappointed.
Not true.
It's not true. I mean, unless she's like a cousin. It is a really unusual name, and I feel like she could be related.
I feel like I know,
but she's not like a direct descendant. She is not one of his well-known and named children.
Natalie Buffet. Well, Craig, guess what? It's already happening. There are people taking pictures of you and putting you on Deuxmoi. There are people deep diving into Natalie. People want to know all about her. People are going to start comparing her to Paige. It was inevitable, but I think it's going to get more attention because it's so quick. And that's not Craig's fault that he fell for somebody quickly. It's not hers either. It's just the nature of the game. So TBD. What I do hope is that she doesn't film on Southern Charm.
Do you hope that for their relationship or
I do,
for
their relationship? I hope that she doesn't
myself
film.
personally, thinking of myself, I definitely hope that she films on Southern
Okay,
time.
I hope she's like Austin's girl.
I do just live in Charlotte. All of
Just
these
live in
people just
Charlotte.
need to live in different cities in neighboring states. I
Yeah.
think is good for them.
But if she does come, I hope she's like an Ashley. Is that her name?
Who?
That
Ashley.
Thomas Ravenel started dating? Was her name
Wait,
Ashley?
Ash. Yes,
I
Ashley.
hope
Wow,
she is an Ashley.
that's terrifying, Rachel.
If you're gonna come,
A chill went through my bones. It was like I had blocked out her name. I can picture her on the sidewalk so clearly.
if you're gonna come Ashley.
Come correct. If you're gonna come crazy. No offense.
Okay, moving on in other news. I feel like we're gonna continue to get updates when it comes to those who are on the Valley, seeing how the new episode drops April 15th. Cannot wait. But the cast are doing the interviews. Excited to say I'm going on a bachelorette trip with one of the cast members this weekend.
Rachel, what?
Jasmine. Jasmine will be on the trip.
Oh, great. Love Jasmine.
Jasmine, I'm going to do something. Jasmine, tell me everything about the Valley. No, she knows that. She knows I'm a
so
fan.
jealous.
She knows I love it. But we go way back to our bachelor days. But Jax is doing the rounds with interviews, and he told Us Weekly that after Brittany left him, he hit rock bottom. You don't deserve her. And he said he was alone in the house for months, and he said he did enough cocaine to kill a small horse. Is that a quote?
Rachel, I wish I could quote this entire interview, and I should. I should
You
just
should,
do a
Jodi.
9-minute reenactment. When you were like, I think we're going to keep getting updates from the Valley because it's about to premiere. The reason that we're going to keep getting updates is because people from the Valley just give the updates directly. You don't have to deal with any of this, like an insider source told people magazine. This interview is just for some reason like Jax speaking straight to camera as an exclusive interview on Us Weekly, just monologuing for 9 minutes. And he starts off in this just very wild way where he's like, yeah, I mean, I am the number one guy in the group. Like I've always been, like I'm the thing that holds the group together. Like I have a group chat of guys. I am a leader of that group chat. And I am so used to being the alpha male, being the center of attention, being the number one guy in the room that I realized that like, I just can't do that anymore. If I'm going to get better, I just can't be the number one guy in the group. And it really just goes to show that like, yes, we have known that Jax was on a lot of cocaine, but it's not all cocaine. He is still Jax, you know, and he is still centering everything around, well, himself. And the idea that everything centers around this interview is nuts. And yes, to answer your original question, that's a direct quote from him that he was doing enough cocaine to kill a small horse. I don't believe that he is quoting anyone else. I don't think that a doctor told him that.
No.
But he has made the self-assessment that that's how much cocaine he was doing.
I don't know
and
why.
I believe him.
I didn't hear him do it, but I don't know why it sounds like he's bragging.
Yes.
I know he's on the recovery and he's admitted to it, but that sounded like he was trying to flex.
The entire interview is like stabs, and it's not really an interview as much as a monologue, is like stabs at taking accountability and then immediately bragging or putting someone else down. When he starts to talk about Brittany, he's like, you know, I come from a world where you don't talk badly about your spouse. First of all, could have fooled me.
I wish my eyes. I'm like, wait, I'm sorry. Come again?
You have always spoken plenty badly about your spouse, but apparently he comes from that world that you don't speak badly about your spouse. And then he just goes on to talk about all of the ways that they both, but like she failed their relationship, like that she wasn't a partner. And he's like, what is he says, I know I angered her a lot and I'm not blaming her, but it's more like, why didn't she say, hey, why don't we go to therapy? Why don't we fix this? Or why don't we go away and figure out these problems? And I'm not putting it on her at all, but a marriage is a team thing, you're partners. Yes, which means it would have been your equal. I'm sure she was quite busy with your cocaine addiction.
Yeah.
Like, and she also has to be saying we should go to therapy. I also feel like she did say that.
She
I I think we saw her say that.
The lack of accountability it makes me itch.
It's crazy.
It's insane. I cannot even, and Jax didn't wake up like this overnight. These are behavioral issues. I'm stopping myself from calling him a narcissist because I just hate to throw that around. But he's clearly got an ego. He clearly, as you said, centers himself. He lacks any ability to take responsibility or accountability for his actions. It's almost as if, and I'm not saying all boomers are like this, but he's got these archaic views or these he's imagined these traditional values that he thinks he's upholds because he says them. It's like he's a boomer trapped in a millennial's body where he
Yes.
thinks, you know, this is how it should be. And so I just, it's exhausting.
He talks about that kind of because he says, I'm so used to being Jax Taylor, this alpha male who's larger than life, but that guy can't exist anymore. And you think he's saying kind of like, for my own health,
Sure.
if I ever want to be in a healthy relationship. But what he goes on to say is kind of like that the world has changed a lot in the last 5 years. So he kind of can't be, he has to revamp himself to be somebody who is more acceptable. And it just doesn't suggest to me that he's creating a real change. He wants to be perceived as acceptable because now the world's not into alpha males anymore.
Well, I am so sick of this mentality with men. And I'm coming off of a very I've just finished Higher Learning as I'm coming into this, and we had a very interesting interview with someone who was 64 years old, so boomer, bringing in that mentality. And it was a lot of this, like the gender wars and the back and forth and, where we are in a society now and how he was raised versus where we are. And the guy we interviewed, TK, this isn't him, what I'm about to say, but I'm just taking some of those feelings into this.
It's on the brain.
Podcast. But I am sick of men feeling like they're valuable just because they're a man, period.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I say this because I'm listening to you talk about Jackson. I'm thinking of all the years I've watched him on television and how we first met him to where he is now. And I'm like, Jax, what have you brought to the table? Just like, you want to talk about traditional values and what a man does to provide. Like, what have you brought to the table? We'll just speak in that realm. And I really think Jax comes from that school of thought, that high value man mentality of, but I'm a man. And that is my value. And you need me. I am man, hear me roar. It's like that type of thing. The energy that I get from Jax is if, well, I'm a man, that's enough.
Well, but he really sees it like that. What he would answer you is I think he sees himself as like a small business owner because of Vanderpump Rules. He's like, I started Vanderpump Rules. I gave all these people jobs. Now I started the Valley. I genuinely think he sees it like that, to which I say, sure, you were a part of it. But if that is the truth, then you and Kristen Doty and Stassi during an earlier part are equal pillars. It has nothing to do with you being an alpha male,
right?
Who's the center of attention, you and me talked about the Valley last season, and it got me so riled up.
Yeah, the circle
and it
of
was
man,
like, it was because of this myth around the patriarchy, and like the patriarchy harms Jax too, in a way that he is so unwilling to see. Mm-hmm. Because what he sees is the world is changing. So if he wants to be liked and if he wants to continue to have a job and if he wants to continue to be on reality TV, then he has to change his image and his perception. But he's not changing.
No.
Other than being sober from cocaine, which I guess I don't want to get lost in this. Like he is pursuing that, and that is difficult. But it seems like a lot of the foundational stuff is a little shaky.
Oh, no, for sure. And what the hope would have been is that as he sobers up, some of these thoughts and feelings and this rhetoric was tied to him being high, but it's not. It's just even more revealing of this is who Jack is at his core. And to that I say, he is morally corrupt at its like at its core. At its
It
core.
is. I cannot imagine like Brittany listening to this and him swinging so wildly back and forth between like, and I'm not blaming her, but if she had just said go to therapy, and I guess she did say that, but maybe if she'd said it louder, and also she saved my life by making me go to rehab, but also she wasn't a partner to me in our relationship.
Yeah. The deep dive we could really do on Jax himself and all the Jax adjacent folks out there, we'd be here. Well, we could create our own podcast. And with that I say, The Valley comes out April 15th. Can't
Oh,
wait
I
to
can't
watch.
wait. I'm terrified and I can't wait.
Can't wait. An update, I guess, with Teresa and Louie. We talked about them last week. Basically, all I really have to say is good luck. They have borrowed a lot of money and they don't have a prenup. And Teresa owes back taxes and Louie owes almost, we didn't have this total last week, but $2.6 million on top of the $163,000 tax lien that was reported last year. We know that Louie's businesses are like non-existent or being sued for not paying their bills or, whatever it is, whatever else it is. I don't even know how you begin to dig yourself out of this hole, especially when it seems like Teresa was the breadwinner and Jersey is put on ice, or if they are moving in a different way, we don't know which way that will be. But I think Jodi, you would say this too. You learn hard lessons in your life and you learn from those mistakes and you don't repeat them, especially when they are expensive or they have jail time attached to it or there's some loss of something. It's a hard lesson you learn and you hope that it hits you hard enough to where you never repeat it again. I just cannot believe Teresa is back in a situation where a man is I can't fully blame the man because Teresa allowed it to happen, but it's like, just can't believe that you're in a situation and it's being brought on by a man. Your husband, not a man, your husband.
That you're legally married to. You're tied to these things and to the crimes that he commits, the money he doesn't pay, the things that he does. I mean, we talked about earlier, like to a lesser extent with Alexia, but like that inability that we sometimes see in these reality TV figures to tuck your tail between your legs and learn a lesson, to feel shame, to feel negative emotionality, which is what creates change in one's life, is oftentimes sort of a missing chip, which was really exemplified to me when days after that actual number that they collectively have $3 million in tax liens. Did you see what Teresa posted on Instagram?
No.
She hasn't commented on the money stuff. Her daughter Gia sort of has on her podcast. She simply posted an Instagram photo of herself wearing a t-shirt that said, "I speak fluent French, Hermes, Chanel, Dior, Saint Laurent." And then the caption, "New week, fresh goals, unstoppable energy. Let's make this Monday the start of something amazing." After it has just come out that her husband owes $2.6 million in tax liens. The delusion.
It sounds like the beginning of the end, or maybe the beginning of the end was when she said, "I do." I'm not quite sure. But it's that type of mentality that has led you to be $3 million in debt. It's what you value. It's what you prioritize. Hermes, Louis, like, guys, I like nice things too. I'm not saying I don't have a designer bag, but it's not it's not what I strive for. I don't strive, to wear the label, to be draped in it, to say I have this $1 million house. Like I work hard for nice things, but it's not my identity. And that Instagram post, to me, that Teresa's like, this is my identity. This is what I value.
And in the face of what would feel like this can no longer be my identity. If you owe $3 million, that's a lot of money
That enrages the government, by the way. Like, if you don't think that you owe money,
yes, like that.
they look at that shit.
Yes, like why are you posting that on social media? Teresa, when she does stuff like that, I think I can't help but think of her when she got married and she looked just like that little mouse from Zootopia.
Yeah.
It's like she is like a cartoon character.
Yeah. It's she acts like somebody where the real life consequences don't impact her, which is wild because you went to jail. You know, I could see if you've always gotten away with things and you've lived this entire life of privilege, but you saw your husband go to jail, your ex-husband go to jail for 5 years and get deported, and then you went to jail for a year. I think as humans, we forget things and we have short-term memory. I would think the things that happen to you, maybe you don't feel that way, but for Teresa, it seems to be different. I just would think, it seems like Teresa's like, well, that was so long ago. Look at all I've accomplished post jail. It's wild to me. Just be a better example for your daughters.
Well, Gia was really up in arms on her podcast. I saw that, like, saying that her mom has done nothing but work hard, nothing but make sure she could financially support them. And I think that that's true.
That. Yeah.
But then to throw it away like that, it's upsetting.
Yeah, Gia, you're not in your parents' relationship. You have no idea what they owe, what they don't owe, how they got there, you don't know. You don't know. I didn't know Gia had a podcast. Think of things you didn't know. I didn't know Gia had a podcast, but
you knew in your heart, you knew that Gia had a podcast. It's new. It's fresh.
What's it called?
It's called Casual Chaos with Gia. Are you frozen or are you stunned to silence?
Are you silent or are you silenced? I was trying to think about what that was the other day. The reason I paused is because I just had to take a beat. We've got to let alliteration go. Do you know what I mean?
She's taking a stand, people.
Just because I would love, my first question would be like, why did you name the podcast that? Is it because you found 2 words that you liked that started with the C? Because that's what it feels like. Casual chaos, make it make sense. I just think we do this too much, right? Oh, it sounds good.
Yeah, because nothing about that suggests anything about Gia. She should have named it that little song that
Wake Up in the Morning.
Waking up in the morning.
Oh my
with
God,
Gia.
Genius. And everything.
Thinking about so many things.
With Gia. that was it.
Next season.
Alliteration.
Rebrand.
Let's ban it. Ban it in 2025. Okay, what else do we have here? Okay, last but not least, we've got the trailer for The Love Hotel, something that has been teased for a while. We already know so much about it, but it premieres at the end of April 27th to be exact. Giselle, Ashley, Luann, and Shannon all go on an island. Didn't catch where the island was. It looks like the Caribbean somewhere, but I don't know. It could have been Mexico.
I think it's Mexico.
Island, but that's not an island.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
But they all go, wherever it is, they go somewhere near the water and sand, bringing sand to the beach where they have all these men that they are dating. And we know things can get messy. They're all there together. I'm assuming the producers have in mind who they want each man to talk to, but obviously men are going to be interested in other women. Women are going to be interested in other men. It's going to cause drama. But from the trailer, it seems like the women really are supportive of each other and rallying around each other and even seem to take up for one another against the men in some of the clips that we've received. We know Joe Kim Booster is hosting it. We know that because he announced it early, because he basically blasted Shannon for being a terrible human being to that. I mean, yeah. But he went on Instagram to basically talk all about her and tell some of the behind the scenes stuff, which I don't necessarily agree with. But that's how we found out he was hosting the show. Jodi, I mentioned it right before we got on. You seemed excited. I am not. And I want you to have the floor, because the only reason I will say I'm not excited is I've never been that interested in love reality shows. I just haven't. I pop in and out of Love is Blind. I watch The Bachelor after my season because I got paid to do it. I've just never been into love reality. Just like I'm not really into competition reality shows.
Mhm.
That's just my preference. So for this, it's nothing against the women involved. It's just not my thing.
I mean, I think I'm just really excited about the 4 women who are on it. They are stars, some
They
of the
are.
greatest ones we have. I liked seeing them interact with each other in the trailer. I mean, it's been so long since we've gotten to see Luann, like, on her Riz game. It's always terrifying and admirable and incredible to see her flirt with men. Watching her put a towel over an in-room camera
Oh,
is
yes.
something that I want to see. Like, I'm excited to see these women at play, but I think thinking about it as a dating, like, I'm excited about the Bravo-ness of it. I'm excited about these personalities, but that is interesting when you think about it in a dating show context, because oftentimes a problem with dating shows is that you don't really get to know the people that well until the very end, until the ones you've spent the longest time with.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent like 12 seasons with Luann. I know
Mm-hmm.
her very well. So there's kind of a leg up, I think, in the personality aspect of like, we know these people super well. We won't know
The men.
this absolute random gaggle of men. And it would have to be random because all of these women are different ages, have different things they want in relationships. Like, all of these guys just look like they could be on totally different shows, which I do think is going to be funny to then see like who locks in with who. And I had totally forgotten about that Joel Kim Booster stuff. It feels like that happened so long ago,
It did.
where he kind of exposed Shannon and said that, oh man, he went in. He said, should I read it?
Yeah,
It's
go
intense.
ahead. Remind the people.
Just because you're a pathetic drunk on a reality show, best known for a string of failed relationships and a DUI, does not make you a star and does not give you license to treat people you work with like they are subhuman, period. Then he said, hope you screenshot it. Hope she suffers. Let's just say I can't imagine what John Jansen went through. Poor guy. He did go on to kind of take this back and like say that he said it in a moment of weakness, but I'm sure it comes from some position of truth. And I found it, I have such a short memory, and I found Shannon very charming in this trailer. So then to remember all of that, I'm like, oh, she was behind the scenes being awful.
Well, I'm not a Shannon fan, so it's always front of mind for me.
Never
But
forget.
it did make me, he apologized and said, I think the funniest thing he said was, he said, I've had a lot of time to think and process about this, and I wish I could say that I was not the guy who posted those statements on Instagram, but the fact is that I am. And to that
Yeah.
I say, I hope we get a lot of your personality, Joel Kim Booster,
Oh,
on.
I mean, Joel Kim Booster's hilarious. Like,
He
it's so
is.
strange he got involved in this.
Well, he's a fan of the
Yeah.
show, and I just hope that, sometimes the role of the host is to just move things along rather than to be a personality, and I do hope his personality, like, this is deeply messy. And I say, although I don't agree with the shaming of necessarily how he did it or even bringing up the John Jansen, because that was dark and I don't like Shannon, but that was a lot. I do hope that messy attitude presents itself in the Love Hotel. But when I say I hope for that, it's not because I'll be watching. It's because when Jodi tells me how great it is or that I should be watching, she can relay some of this to me because I won't.
Rachel, one day I'm going to ask one of our amazing producers and editors to put together a clip package of all the things you've said you wouldn't watch that you have
There's only
ultimately watched.
There's only one.
You used to be
Summer
out on
House.
Summer House.
It was only Summer House.
We both said we weren't going to watch The Valley. And
That's
just
true.
in this very
That's
episode,
true.
we have been saying, can't wait for The Valley to come back.
That's so true. I stand corrected.
Southern
with that.
Hospitality.
I don't watch that. I watched
Okay.
one season. I'm trying to get back into it because Chelsea's trying to.
Yeah.
But you did get me with Summer House. It's amazing. Definitely got me with The Valley. Like, pump The Valley into my veins. Yes, and so maybe,
Maybe Bravo's Love Hotel will make it
I don't
3.
think three's a charm with this one. I think Southern Hospitality would do it before this one, but it's also just because these type of shows just aren't my thing. It has nothing to do with the people involved. It's just a personal preference for me.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm not. It's like I thought the trailer was really good. I thought the trailer
The trailer
made
was
it look
good.
enticing. I can't say that theoretically I'm not excited about watching former housewives date. I wish they'd just do it on the show. But you never know. You never know when the recipe is going to hit just right.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. And how about this? I will keep an open mind. I've been wrong before, Jodi. I can admit that. I'm not Jax. I've been wrong. And
You'll tuck that tail happily.
And I would be missing out on so much without Summer House or the Valley, a part of my world. So I will hold space for Love Hotel after Jodi gives me a full recap on the first episode.
Happy to do my journalistic duty.
Before we go out, we always like to do a little something fun here on the news version of Morally Corrupt. And in line with all the rage being talked about this week of God's country, and what is God's country, and where is God's country, or is it a place? Is it something? Is it a figment of your imagination? Is it it doesn't have to be a thing, or a place. It's what it is to you. And I say that not being a big Morgan Wallen fan, okay? Well, the music's kind of good, I'm not gonna lie, but personally. So it got us thinking here on Morally Corrupt. Where in the world is your Bravo God's country? Jodi, what is it for you? Or where is it for you? Or who is it?
If we're saying get me back to God's country, I'm saying get me back to Bluestone Manor. Always.
That might be the best answer.
It would be so good to be back there. And it would also mean that we were maybe getting back to a world where that was our New York, where Dorinda could be on TV without completely going off the deep end. It would mean so many things that simply don't exist, just like whatever God's country Morgan Wallen is talking about.
Morgan Wallen
is talking about. It's not real. We can never go back.
There is nothing within any other franchise that I could say to top Bluestone Manor. There is no Bluestone Manor that exists in another franchise, nothing adjacent to it. It's a world of its own. You could honestly have the Real Housewives of Bluestone Manor, and it would be a hit. There is something in the walls, in the water, in the air that exists out there. And it's not the Berkshires, it's Bluestone Manor itself. It's as if the moment that your feet touch the ground, something comes over you. Possessed, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the fish room. I don't know. Maybe that's where it's coming from. But I can't top that. So I simply have to encompass it all by saying, Bravo's God country for me is BravoCon.
Oof. Get me back to BravoCon.
It's the only thing I can say. Everybody comes together. Fashion, the people, the drama, the egos, the products, the fans. There's nothing like it. Nothing like it. And you couldn't take any other franchise and do this with. You couldn't do this with like The Challenge. You couldn't even really do this in Bachelor World. You couldn't do this with Love is Blind. This could only be done in Bravo because there is something special there. There's something special there. And that just makes me think of something. As we're stepping into 2025, well, we're ending the first quarter now, and we know that we are getting a BravoCon this year.
Mm-hmm.
They need to give us some kind of display with Bluestone Manor. Like when you walk through the doors of BravoCon, somehow walking through Bluestone Manor. Or maybe that would be really fun to do.
Yeah, because they've done those setups before of like they did the Sir Alley, which is also a get me back to the Sir Alley. But I don't think they've done Bluestone Manor.
Well, there's an idea. You have time. All right, that is it. Jodi, it's been so much fun to have you on this version of Morally Corrupt.
Thanks for having me, Rach. We miss you, Chelsea.
We've definitely missed Chelsea. You're free to come back anytime. If anything just is really just like really pinching a nerve and you just have to get it out, stop by here on Tuesdays.
Check back in.
On Morally Corrupt, the news version. But until then, see you Friday, where we will be recapping all things Bravo. You guys have a beautiful week. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you on Friday. Bye.